Hi, I'm Craig Lounsbro. I want to welcome you to Life Talk. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about self-esteem. To one degree or another, at one time or another, each of us deal with feelings of low self-esteem. We question ourselves. We have doubts about ourselves. And so I want to give you some thoughts that will help you build and maintain a strong self-esteem. And in order to do that, let's start with this. This thought reads this way. Oddly enough, we might want to consider the fact that the things that have run roughshod over our self-esteem are the very raw materials from which great futures are constructed. The more the damage, the more the material, and therefore the greater the opportunities. The future cannot help but be shaped, built, and ultimately fed by the past. The worse the past, the greater the feeding. You know, we have this tendency to focus on the negative, on what went wrong, what didn't work, what backfired, what came back to bite us. We have this really interesting tendency to become consumed with all the bad stuff. The bad stuff is what comes to define us. It defines our situation, and it defines every outcome of whatever it was that went wrong. And because the bad becomes so predominant, the bad becomes all bad. By that I mean we can't find the good in the bad, even though some element of good is always there. The lessons that we can learn, the perspectives that we would have never had we not tried and fallen short. The opportunity to learn things like patience and endurance and flexibility and how to manage disappointment and how deeply the human heart can feel when things go bad. The opportunities in the carnage are massive, and often those kinds of opportunities can't be found anyplace else. But our pain convinces us that the opportunities aren't there, or if they are, it's basically impossible to ferret them out. We just need to focus on getting rid of the pain because it's painful, versus spending valuable time trying to find the good in something that seems entirely bad. Now think about this. Bad things have happened to all of us. Nobody's excluded. Nobody's exempt. There are no exceptions. And at some point, bad things are going to happen again. You can count on it. And it's not just bad stuff that happens to us. Sometimes it's devastating stuff. Stuff that knocks us down in ways that we never really get back up again. We're all walking wounded. The real issue is the depth or degree of our woundedness and what we're going to do with it. Think about this. We're going to get knocked down because of 1,000 unjust things that should never have happened. But are we determined enough to get back up so that a handful of good things might happen? Regardless of what has slammed itself into your life, there is something good within it. And there is enough good within you to ferret it out. These situations that you've experienced and the wounds that you've carried around because of all those situations contain within them some of the greatest assets that you have available to you. And you have enough within you to mine those assets out of the carnage. As someone once said, it's not what happens to us, it's what we do with what happens to us. What happens to you is opportunity, even though that opportunity is often wrapped in pain and sometimes a lot of pain. But if we dig the opportunity out of the pain, which we have the capability of doing, in time, the pain will be offset by the opportunities that lay within it. Therefore, rather than these difficulties and struggles destroying our self-esteems, they are the very assets that can build them. The very things that have crushed your confidence hold within them the things that can build your confidence. Well, as have we said, oddly enough, we might want to consider the fact that the things that have run roughshod over our self-esteem are the very raw materials from which great futures are constructed. The more the damage, the more the material, and therefore the greater the opportunities. The future cannot help but be shaped, built, and ultimately fed by the past. The worse the past, the greater the feeding. I would suggest that you take some time and think about that. The self that I long to believe in is a timely, thoughtful, and straightforward look at both building and strengthening your self-esteem. You will find the self that I long to believe in on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold. Thanks for joining us today. You will find Life Talk on most podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. I would also encourage you to check out our daily posts on all of our social media sites. Thanks for being here today. See you next time.
You know, I've heard it a million times. And what I've heard is people telling me I have no purpose. People walk through this existence wondering why in the world they're here and what role are they supposed to play in all of this, and they don't believe they have one. And the issue really is not that you don't have a purpose. The issue is you haven't discovered it. And I would go so far as to say that not only do you have a purpose, but you have a purpose that was specifically created and honed to deal with the issues in our world today. You're not here by accident. You were put here with a skill set specifically designed to help deal with the realities that our world is facing today. You have a purpose. The issue is not that. The issue is finding out what it is and living it out. Because whatever that purpose is, we need you to fulfill that purpose. The world out there needs you to fulfill that purpose. You need you to fulfill that purpose. And so today I would have you start thinking, well, what is my purpose? What is my role in all of this? Begin to ferret that out. Search it out. Think about it. Pray about it. Because it's there. And it's waiting to be discovered. And then it's waiting to be acted upon.